I cringe thinking about it because yeah, there will be crashes, and unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but we will lose a GC guy or two in that first week.
We're going to pick this one stage where we're going to find the steepest, longest climbs, and we're going to put our entire team on the front, and we're going to try to grind them down because we think that Jonas is better at the steeper, sustained climbs, and we're going to try to crack him. Now, whether or not Tadej can be cracked remains to be seen.
Welcome back to Beyond the Podium. The final countdown to the Tour de France is here. This is it. We've had the recent dress rehearsals, the final pre-race showdowns. Dauphiné finishing up just over a week ago. Tour de Swisse wrapping up just last weekend. Tadej Pogacar showing his dominance at the Dauphiné, beating his main rival, Jonas Vingegaard, and a thrilling finish to the Tour de Swisse yesterday with João Almeida, Tadej Pogacar's teammate, also pulling off the big GC win. It's all leading up to the big month of July, the Tour de France, and we're going to hash it all out here on Beyond the Podium. With me to do that, we've got Tejay van Garderen and special guest on Beyond the Podium, Paul Burmeister. This is our full studio crew for July. It's really good to be here with you guys, and I'm excited to talk some Tour de France bike racing with you.
Good to be here with you guys. I watch you all the time. You guys do a great job when it's the two of you. So hopefully you can be extra on your game today to make up for, as you called it, Brent, the special guest.
QB Burmeister, you always make us look good. Come on now.
I too. This will be a good little warm up.
I'm liking the relaxed vibe that we got here. It feels a little more my natural habitat than your more natural habitat, Paul, of looking real sharp in the suits in the studio. But yeah, TJ, before we get into Tour de France talk, you just came off the plane or just arrived back from Tour de Swisse. So tell us about your past week there. I think you were you were definitely in one of the team cars. You had some big rides from some of your riders. Definitely yesterday, Harry Sweeney pulling off that real strong time trial. Tell us the highlights from Tour de Swisse from your perspective, big picture Tour de France, but also EF, your team.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I haven't even showered from off the plane because I'm still wearing my team T-shirt here. But yeah, Tour de Suisse was an incredibly exciting race. That first stage just made everything look like like no one knew what was going to happen. João Almeida came in as the hot favorite, but he missed this 29-man break, and unfortunately, so did all of my EF riders. But we ended up animating the race, and we won a stage with Vincenzo Albanese, which was awesome. But then it just kind of shut the race down from there on because UAE was so hell-bent on trying to get back every second for Almeida because he started with a 3.5-minute deficit that he just shut down the race and attacked at every opportunity that he had, and he just clinched the deal in the final TT. But yeah, like you said, I got to give a shout out to my boy Harry Sweeney because man, this dude, like in that final TT, 76 kilos, but still just like throttled that time trial, was in the hot seat forever, finally got pipped by the last couple of riders, but that was an impressive ride by my EF boy, Harry Sweeney.
Heck yeah. TJ, when you were just saying that, talking about being on the radio for Harry Sweeney, being in the car, I flashed back to a Tour de Suisse moment from my career.
Well, I got to correct you there, Brent. I got to correct you. He was so concerned about the weight because it was an uphill time trial that he didn't want the extra 500 grams for the radio. But the climb was steep enough that when I heard on the from the intermediate time check that he was best time, I just yelled out the window. I just stuck my head out the window. I was like, "Best time, sweetie!" And then like every single thing on the course, I was like, "You got to push right now. It gets flatter in 200 meters." And like, so if my voice is a little hoarse today, it's because I was yelling so hard at Harry Sweeney because he didn't want the extra 300 grams of carrying a radio.
Do you think he heard you, TJ? Do you think he actually heard you and took it in?
I apologized to him afterwards because I said, "Yeah, hey, I know you didn't want to start with a radio, so I hope my yelling didn't mess you up." And he's like, "No, I just didn't want it for the white, mate. I mean, but you know, that yelling it really got me going." Yeah, he's Australian.
But I loved you on the radio, so I'm sure Harry Sweeney appreciated those yells and screams from the car, and that's old school, man. Ditch the electronics. I love it. I love it. So that TJ, you brought up a good point. We'll kind of sit on Tour de Suisse for a minute because it is the most recent. It did just happen. João Almeida, no stranger to finding success at that race, but the way he did it was impressive. Being on the back foot after that stage one goes to show. We talk about these GC riders needing to be vigilant, needing to be heads up, and this was one of those stage ones where all of a sudden the race sort of got flipped on its head in terms of a traditional GC script where you maybe would have thought the GC riders were going to wait for the final climbs coming later in the race. But looking at the final margin of victory that João Almeida had after yesterday, coming from behind, just grabbing the victory on the last day, it doesn't paint the whole picture of how strong he was, because he also clawed back those few minutes that you described all through the race. So once again, like we talk about it time and time again, Paul, we talk about it in the studio, the dominance, the depth of this UAE team. It's not just their superstar favorite, legendary Tadej Pogacar. It's these guys underneath him. João Almeida, 4th overall at the Tour last year, and once again, he's showing up, has his chance at Tour de Suisse, makes a pretty solid mistake the first day, comes from behind, and showing that he is clearly ready to ride the Tour. On any other team, he'd be the guy riding GC, and today Pogacar's got him by his side for the race. The depth of this UAE team. TJ, did you see anything at that race from inside the team car, from inside the race? I know you don't hold any punches about UAE chasing back some of those breaks and some of those being a little too aggressive, but you can't fault them in this situation because that was the situation they were in after stage one.
There were still some breaks that had solid, like, best guy on GC at 35 minutes that they were clawing back. And I was like, okay, you're scrapping for bonus seconds here. So I was a little bit like, oh my God, are you serious right now? Like, so I'm staying in that camp, but like I'm softening it a little bit because they did have to take every advantage they could. But yeah, like you said, I mean, he made a solid mistake, and even Grosschanter was from UAE. The German rider was in that 29-man breakaway on stage one, and UAE was not putting up very vigilant of a chase. So from us in the car, we're like, are you guys gonna pin your hope on Felix Grosschanter? Because like that's a bit of a gamble. He's a strong rider. Obviously, he's got some palmares behind his name, and but I was like that. I mean, when I was looking at those guys in the first group, I was like, yeah, that might be a little bit of a gamble if you're not going to like start, really pulling it back. But yeah, like every stage of the race, like at one point it looked like Roman Gregoire, like he was solidly in the leader's jersey, and I was like, he might be able to take this thing. You give him a 3-minute advantage over Almeida, he could take this thing. Kevin Volklan. He was super, super strong, and the course suited him very well. Let's not forget, this is not the typical Tour of Swiss that we usually see with the major, like long 1,000-meter mountain passes. This was more reminiscent of like a Pays Basque, where it's like you get these super small roads. Yeah, super punchy, super small roads, super steep. So it suited perfectly to Kevin Volklan, and actually, it's suited less so to a João Almeida, because João Almeida, he's like that strong, he's aerodynamic, he likes that, like those long climbs. So it was just one of those things that it was open to everyone. Hell, Alaphilippe was third. So we saw a resurgence of him, and so it was a very interesting Swiss, not your typical Tour of Swiss. Dauphiné, that was like a mini Tour de France. Tour of Swiss, that was like it's any man's game.
Yeah, all the more impressive that João Almeida was able to chip back that time without one big climb where he could just pull out the big club and smack everyone off his wheel, just chipping it away. Man, what a full week. TJ, I bet you're still catching your breath.
Can we talk about Quinn Simmons? Let's talk about Quinn Simmons. Did you guys see Quinn Simmons win that stage?
Let's do a little American Love Fest on our boy Quinn. Yes. Yeah.
In the American
that was
jersey,
amazing.
With the Fu Manchu, hair just like in that bun. Like he was the most
doing
American
the eagle,
guy out.
flapping across the line. That was amazing.
I got to say, I had two riders in that breakaway. Sebastian Longeveld, my colleague, was up the road with those guys, and he was playing it perfectly. He was toying with the peloton, trying to get them as much time as they could, but they ended up coming back to 20 seconds on the penultimate.
I thought they were
climb.
done.
That breakaway was dead in the water, and Quinn was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Just why not? Why not give it a shot? He goes and he gains 50 seconds and he sticks it all the way to the line with a solo 40-kilometer breakaway. I'm just like, that does not happen in the world of pro cycling. Like, you just don't see that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
I got to say, like, as impressive as all the things that happened during Tour of Swiss was, that day was the most impressive.
You guys,
I'm not just saying that. I'm owning my American bias, but like, that was the most impressive.
It's okay though. I think it's okay. And just like sitting here listening to you guys talk about some very specific parts of stages and stage wins and Quinn in particular, my mind just goes to how lucky we all are to have these Americans now in the race that are not just in the race, but playing meaningful roles and showing up on big teams. There's the possibility of winning stages. It's going to be great to have Sepp back. I think Sepp is going to be back. That'll be fun. But my first tour, TJ, back in 2016, I think it was you. And we all had so much hope that Tejay van Garderen was going to be a big part of the race all the time, because if it wasn't TJ, who's it going to be for the American interest? And now it feels like we are in my 10th year of doing this. We're at the best place we've been in terms of there are numerous Americans who could show up in meaningful ways. You
got a lot better options than me these days.
No, didn't want to say that. Didn't want to walk it up there, but there was just a lot of pressure on you.
I took it there. It's all right. It's all good.
There was a lot of pressure on you. I'm sure that you felt. I felt it too. I'm like, man, hope this guy does well, because there really isn't somebody else out there that's going to step up and take his place if he doesn't have a great tour. And it just feels like we've come a long way when comparing it to what it felt like in 2016.
Yeah, Paul, that's an awesome point.
Yeah.
In the jersey too. I mean, a lot of times we don't see the U.S. Championship jersey even in the Tour de France or in these world-class races, because it is so tactical, it is so tricky to win. But it's awesome to see Quinn carry that form from the U.S. Championships back to Europe. That first stage of Tour de Suisse, I thought he was going to pop us the win that day. That the lead out he did, or the sprint he launched from so far out, you could see and feel that hunger and ferocity just frothing at the bit coming out on stage one. So really, really cool to see him get it. And yeah, Paul, you're spot on. We're spoiled with the Americans now. I mean, we're talking about Matteo Jorgensen, Jonas Vingegaard's really, left-hand lieutenant at this point. We're also talking about him for being up in the mix in the overall GC hunt as well. One of the last men standing in the mountains. So yeah, times are good. Times are a little less stressful for TJ. And
let's think about Nielsen Palace also. He also just won a race. It was the precursor to Tour of Swiss. It was called Gippingen. You probably raced at Gippingen before Tour of Swiss. You didn't. Okay,
Paul never lined up there.
Still waiting for
Never threw any passes in Gippingen, Switzerland? No?
I did not. Never been there to do anything.
No gridiron in Gippingen.
Right. That's right.
But TJ, you were there in the car with Nielsen as well, right?
I was indeed.
Yeah. You're looking good, man. They're gonna miss you at the tour. We'll be happy to have you, but team's gonna miss you.
Well, the whole reason I'm doing the tour is so that I can get this pro footage, as I can have eyes on the breakaway, eyes on the peloton, and so I can just feed information back to EF. That's my whole stick here.
That was the wrong answer, TJ. Like you started it out well. The whole reason I'm doing the tour, and you had a wide open lane to say nice things about NBC, about Brent, about me, about the fun and the pressure of being on TV every day, and you just, did a little right hand.
I'm joking. I'm just joking. I love getting suited and booted and
made up,
looking good on camera next to you, Paul.
The makeup is your favorite part. I know it is.
It's coming quick. All right, so tour's coming. That means we cannot not talk about, and we cannot overstate Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogacar, the big showdown. In my eyes, this is a two-man race. We're talking about the defending champ And the other most recent champ, if we look back the past few years, it's these two guys that have dominated the Tour. It's going to be that way again. Barring any sort of disaster or freak situation or crash or sickness, it's Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogacar, two really deep teams, two proven champions in their own right. But undoubtedly, the momentum is with Tadej Pogacar. This guy has been on fire this year, 11 wins, nearly unstoppable. That's a much different picture than the situation that Jonas Vingegaard is arriving at the Tour de France. We got to see the matchup at the Dauphiné. That's rare. A lot of times we're talking about how spoiled we were. Pogacar, Vingegaard, Remco Evenepoel, all at the Dauphiné, all actually like taking a chance to even show their vulnerabilities, if any. It's rare that we get all the favorites for the Tour at the Dauphiné lining up, but we saw it, and that was an action-packed week. Paul, I think you followed the Dauphiné a fair bit from the sounds of it. I imagine you haven't queued into every bike race that's been on the calendar this year. You've been watching football, you've been watching basketball, you've been doing Champions League. So what was the headline from you coming out of the Dauphiné as you're switching your focus into Tour de France mode and seeing today Pogacar just really, really almost clean the floor with the rest of the peloton?
Yeah. I think first of all, going in, Brent, it was just super fun to have the three top guys there. The Tadej, Jonas, Remco there. I mean, that's exciting in and of itself to see them all in the same place. So it was kind of must watch. I say TV, but must watch iPad, must watch phone, however you take it in. It was exciting for all of us who get excited about cycling this particular time of year. And then I forget what stage it was, guys, but it was early, and Tadej looked human on the time trial and lost all kinds of time. And unless you are just someone who is pulling hard for him to win and dominate, if you're a fan of close cycling and big races, it was kind of like you sit up a little taller. You're like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't Superman 24/7. Maybe the other guys are going to have a bit of a chance. So there was that moment, there was that day or two where we could have, had fun with the thought that Tadej is just one of the guys. And then as the race got longer into the week, it looked like he wasn't even trying. It looked like a guy who was a varsity athlete going up against the junior varsity athletes. With all respect to the rest of them, that's how much better he looked. So it was only a week long, but kind of those three feelings, the excitement of having everybody there, the hope that maybe Tadej has come back a little bit, but then having that thing buried, he just rode away from everybody at the pace he chose.
Yeah, well said. Once again, this time gap that you look at the finish, if you just didn't watch the race and looked at that results sheet right now, you see a minute from Pogacar to Vingegaard, you're like, oh, that's really close by Dauphiné standards pre-Tour de France. And yeah, we did have the TT, and that is sort of like the asterisk on Tadej Pogacar's Tour de France prep, is we're all kind of wondering what happened in that TD. That was not classic Pogacar. But the way he asserted himself those final few mountain days, and even the last stage in particular, when they were racing to the line for second place, and you could see Vingegaard like wind up his sprint, like saying like, all right, I'm going to go to the line with you now, and I'm going to beat you for second place. And Tadej just sort of sitting down and like looking at him with his mouth closed, like, no, man, I'm not playing that game. I already smacked you the past 2 days, and I'm going into July with that momentum. So yeah, good luck at your training camp the next few weeks. TJ, what was your take on that from the director mentality and director point of view?
What I loved the most about it is you could tell that these two teams do not like each other. Like there is a serious rivalry going on there. There were head games. There were like, I'm going to take it to you, but then if you try to take it to me, then I'm like, why do I even have to play with you? Like there is no love lost between these two bike riders. Of course there's respect there, but these two guys,
was it that way last year, TJ?
They're out for blood.
Is that new? Was that around last year to the extent that you feel it right now?
I mean, last year they were tied at 2-2. And I think that, you could see that Tadej Pogacar, when he's winning, he is the funnest, like happy-go-lucky, like, just a joy to be around and like a joy to like look at on camera. Right. That day that Jonas Vingegaard beat him at that sprint and the whole momentum shift to the Visma camp, you saw him in the cool down. He's like, I cannot lose to this dude a third time. I cannot lose, like, I can't lose this tiebreaker.
Can't happen, won't happen.
I mean, UAE and Visma, they're the two dominant teams of this era, and they're fighting for supremacy. And these are the two best riders of their generation. And, you know, like sometimes, you know, you have these generations where nobody really has a true rival. These guys are true rivals. And, you know, did Magic like Bird? Not so much in the day, you know?
Yeah, that just made it all the better. So like, as someone who doesn't know the tactics nearly the way you guys do, I'm always looking for points of interest that all of us can kind of latch onto and watch. And the two top teams being so talented and having the two best guys, I mean, that's good just by itself. If they truly don't like each other, if there's a great rivalry there and a little bit of bad blood, I mean, maybe if you're inside one of those teams, it's not as enjoyable, but just someone who likes the race and is looking for things of interest, like that is awesome if these two teams don't like each other and we see it play out that way.
Yeah, Paul, that's a good that question that you asked to TJ. Was it like that last year? My perspective on that is it has ramped up, but I do flash back to one of the last stages last year when our USA compatriot Matteo Jorgensen was really in the position to win a stage, and Tadej Pogacar once again chases him down, cleans him up, and I believe there was even a social media post or a tweet or something from Matteo, something to the nature of like, not forgetting, this will not be forgotten. This will this will be my motivation, my fuel, my fire. And TJ, you were especially onto this. You were really fired up of like yes, like there will be a comeback, there will be some redemption. But yeah, I think it all ties in together because and TJ, we've talked about this a lot, but this idea of UAE, Tadej Pogacar, they take what they want, not always what they need. Sometimes they take more than what they need. And yeah, I think that has just gone to intensify this battle, this rivalry. It's as for sure as hot as ever. When I think of Visma Lease a Bike, UAE, traditionally, historically, I sort of thought as Visma sort of having this more like tactical, strategic, sort of, I don't know, like optimization than UAE, and UAE more just having like all the star players, just like brought in all the stars. Whereas Visma Lease a Bike, Jonas Vingegaard is very strategic, calculated. That kind of showed through the last time Vingegaard beat Pogacar when Pogacar sort of just crumbled at the end, and they were saying this was our plan the whole time. This was our plan the whole time. I think UAE has evolved, but there is still this feeling I have in my mind that they're still sort of holes or gaps in their unity as a team, and it even showed through at the Giro. If we're talking about the team as a whole, it's the same team that is charged to, not the same riders, but the organization that's charged to captain Tadej Pogacar to another Tour de France. That sort of miscommunication from the directors to the riders, it showed through.
I see what you're getting at, Brent. It's like UAE is like an all-star team, and like Visma is kind of like a prime Golden State Warriors. You know, it's like that's the difference. So it's like I would take a prime Golden State Warriors over an all-star team, even though like basically the whole all-star team was made up of the Golden State Warriors. But yeah, they race together as a team. They come in with a plan. They come in with like every rider has a proven objective. And right now, when you put together a compilation of stars, even though Tadej Pogacar is the undisputed star of that team and the undisputed leader, you did see, and I did allude to a few times last year when I saw some teammates that were kind of holding back a little bit, kind of saving a little for themselves. Like, you know what? João Almeida might be feeling himself a little bit. He just won the Tour of Swisse, and he's not really known to be one to work for many other people. The only time he's really called on to work for someone else is in the month of July. Is he really going to do that? Probably, but is he also going to like pull off and then slot in behind and like, is he really going to sell out to that point? Or is he going to be like, you know what, I'm going to hold on to my little placing here. So as soon as I'm done pulling, just slot in the wheel and, find the best wheel I can and push to the line.
I think
there's a big difference.
With Almeida, I do think so. I think last year what we saw was a little bit of a dynamic with Almeida and Ayuso. And as far as I know, I don't think Ayuso is set to start the Tour after his bid at the Giro. I think UAE is actually physically, like, they will miss Ayuso, world-class climbing talent, one of the best in the world. But in terms of the team cohesion and even this Almeida Ayuso, like who's the next best, who's the last man standing, who gets to stay close on time, I think there's a fair amount of certainty with the UAE team that will be João Almeida. And I think when you're looking at both these teams, Visma and UAE, it serves them both well to keep a second rider at least on GC. So with Visma, I think that's going to be Matteo Jorgensen, and then UAE will be João Almeida. And, hopefully, from our point of view, hopefully those guys do stay close, and we see some interesting tactical racing that's going to play out. Probably, if we're going to be honest, not until the middle chunk of this race. We can go into the route in a little bit once we close up the Dauphiné and Swiss, but this route is really set to have the GC shakeups happening, only in the second half and even in the second third.
Which team would you stack up best? Like, not in terms of the two best, like Tadej, Vingegaard, like, okay, that's its own separate argument. But say you match up Jorgensen and João and Sepp or Adam Yates, like, and then on down the roster, like Thies Benoot and whoever, like which roster would you say has the best roster heading into July?
Yeah, it's so tough. Like on paper, they're almost like direct.
They're mirror images. They're mirror images of each other.
They are really almost mirror images. I will say that one sort of a weapon that Visma Leasebike has that UAE does not have is Wout van Aert. And Paul, you're no stranger to the Wout show. We've had plenty of tours where we're like, we got to talk about Wout again. And last year was not the year. It was not the prime time Wout, but he did have a strong Giro. He got a very emotional stage win there. And I think he's going to be back on board for Vingegaard and maybe, chipping, looking for his own chance in one of those stages, the first 10 days as well. But I still see UAE. We
saw
as
the
maybe
impact Wout had in the Giro. Yeah, that was like Wout. He is the difference maker.
Yeah. It's a big deal having him.
I think it would be so difficult to be a team director for either one of those two, because going in, you're there for really one reason. Even though you got a lot of stars and a lot of talent who could show up in a number of really fun ways and win stages, UAE is there for Tadej to win, period. If he doesn't win, this July is a failure for them. Same thing with Jonas and Visma. They're there to win. And if he doesn't win, you cannot look at anything else they did and say they had a successful tour. Yet they have super talented, elite guys on their team that also want to have their moments and have their days. I think it would be really difficult to keep all of them happy while you also know, because everybody's looking out for their own job. I didn't do my job on this leadership team if we don't come home top of the podium. So that's number one, but how do I keep everybody else on their, they're all tied for second most important on the list of priorities. How do I keep them going and happy too?
The way you keep them happy is say, like, you can win in September or you can win in May. But when it comes to July, you guys better be on board. I mean, we've seen other leaders like that. Chris Froome had Richie Porte on his team, Geraint Thomas on his team, Wout Poels on his team.
Yeah.
And, Lance Armstrong had Roberto Harris, like a 4-time winner of the Vuelta a España on his team. He had Floyd Landis, who went on to, do some things. But he was always able to keep his guys in the row. It's like, okay, guys, like, look, you guys can have your success over there. You won Tour of Swisse, Almeida, that's great. But when you come here to July, you better know what the priority is. So you have to have that charismatic leader to be like, look, you'll get your day, just not in July.
Right. I remember back, I think it was 2018, guys. It might have been 17, it might have been 19, but I think it was 18. And you mentioned Froome and Geraint Thomas. Like, we were like, it was deep into the second week, maybe even touching the third in the Pyrenees, when they were very close. Geraint and Chris were they like the top two guys. And all of a sudden, on one of these historic climbs, Geraint Thomas looked better. And everybody's kind of looking at each other in the studio like, who's their leader now? Like, which guy are they supporting? And I'm paraphrasing, but I remember talking to Bob and Christian about it live afterward, and they both said, like, you can't ignore what you just saw. Like, we just saw the shift. The leader went from the guy who's won a bunch and Chris Froome to the guy who's better right now. I don't anticipate that happening with either one of these teams this year, but my mind just went there. As you mentioned, those guys, that very unique situation back a few years ago.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
those factors are undoubtedly playing out. I mean, we're talking about Matteo Jorgensen, João Almeida. Yeah, I think Sepp has been fairly vocal about he doesn't necessarily see himself or want to be the Tour de France leader on that team. But yeah, these guys they're playing the long range game too. It's not just about this year, but the rest of their careers, and they're all. It's a tough time to be an aspiring GC rider with the era of Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogacar, because they are both still, by normal standards, quite young and could hypothetically go for a long, long time. But I think when we're talking about these two, this matchup, Vingegaard, Pogacar, do you guys have any thoughts on Remco Evenepoel, Primož Roglič? I mean, there will be a third place on the podium. There's going to be some other interesting racing. The Tour always does dish out some surprises. From what I saw at Remco at the Dauphiné, he is on the way up. He's still got that magic in the time trial, still the world's best, despite the adversity he's persevered through this year. This is only his second Tour de France, and he did a really strong debut Tour de France next year. I don't think he's going to be in the position to challenge those two, but I'm still excited to see what Remco does. I think his team, this classic Belgian ethos, is also well suited to this, on paper, a little more like hectic first 10 days. It's kind of back to this classic mold of like a real long run until we get to the mountains. I think Remco Evenepoel and his team are also quite well suited for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can't forget that Remco did not have the best Dauphiné last year. He was a little bit quiet, and same with this year. Like, he obviously won the TT in dominant fashion because he's just a TT rock star, but I'm not really worried about him being able to contend in the mountains, because some people, they just have a slower buildup. Some people, they need that confidence to just, like, I got to go smash the Dauphiné to give myself a boost of confidence to go into July knowing that I'm good. Some people, they follow their plan, they're methodic about it, and they're like, I know I'm going to be a little bit behind in the Dauphiné. As long as there's not like a panic button that needs to be hit, then I can just kind of follow my buildup and be good in July, because from the start of the Dauphiné to the end of the Tour, that's like 6 weeks. That's a long time to hold form. So if he's coming in a little bit undercooked, I feel like that's good for Remco. As far as Primož, that crashing out of the Giro, or stopping in the Giro after the crash, and I don't know what, like, we haven't seen him. I don't. He's the biggest question mark. Now, obviously, he's super professional. You know he's going to be there. He's going to do the work, but can he stay on his bike? I don't know.
Yeah. That's kind of the whole thing with him too. And that's why when I think about this Remco or Primož as we get ready for the Tour, which one, you picture one of them being on the podium there at third. The Remco story is a great one too. He's an easy guy to pull for when you look at his last 10 years and what he's been through. But he's so young that there's this thought that if it doesn't happen for him this year, there are plenty of tours out there for him to not only be on the podium, but also win. And he's that good and he's that young. With Primož, he's such a likable character in terms of a super talented, big name kind of guy. But because of what's happened, and TJ mentioned, the crashing out, how many times have we talked about him in a big race and crashing out is in there, or falling off his bike, or it just ends in some little heartbreaking way so many times. And now you have a guy in his 30s, and if he, with all of that in his background, and let's not forget 5 years ago, he had the Tour and had it snatched away from him in very unlikely fashion at the very end of a time trial. So I think people who like sports can latch on to someone who's had his heart broken a lot and is getting up there in age, at least athletically, and you wonder how many more times can this guy come back, and can be considered to be a threat. So I like Remco a lot. I would love to be in the third week with all that he's been through and see Primoz right there with a chance to be on the podium. I think it'd be really cool.
You know what name comes to mind when Paul was given that little speech there, Brent?
What's that?
Cadel Evans.
Yeah, for sure. Persistence, tenacity. Yep, just dogged pursuit of the dream and the goal. Yeah, having the team built around him. It wasn't that long ago that we talked about the big switch and transition of Primoz moving from the squad that he was there with Jonas Vingegaard over to Bora. And Bora is not a new young team anymore. If they've had the time now to grease the wheels, to create the pathways, develop the leadership, the culture, and they have a very stacked, talented roster as well. The Leibovitz, Primoz Roglic's teammate, was definitely a standout headliner from the recent weeks, and not someone that I hadn't really had on my radar as a world climber who could climb with the likes of these elite leaders, but he's equipped. He has a really strong team, and he has all the experience. The question is, I think, like you guys just said, going to be, can he stay on the bike? And I think that's actually a nice segue even to talk about this route a little bit, because the Tour de France is starting in Northwest France, starting up in Normandy region. TJ, you've raced there. I believe maybe we've even started the tour there as teammates before. Oh man, as a bike rider, I don't like it, man. It's a it's a hectic place to race. It's windy. There's tons of road furniture. And when I think of the Tour de France peloton up there in Northwest France, it feels like just, classic, gritty, stressful Tour de France first week racing. And there isn't a big selector climb in the first week. It's going to be hotly contested, small time gap margins. We're looking really all the way to stage 10 when the first uphill finishes. And that was another important note that I saw, is they're doing 10 days without a rest day. And that's hard for us too in the studio, but that's really tough for these guys. Your 9 is already like, are you kidding me? I got to do 9 days without like a little break, a little travel break, rest day, but they're doing 10. I mean, we're going to be a bit on our knees after 10 days. So these guys, 10 days starting up in Normandy, Mur de Bretagne in the first week, a time trial in the first week, and then the nasty Massif Central to close out the first week. I mean, these directors are going to be killing these guys when they're talking about the first week. That's 10 days. A week is not 10 days, but that's a big opening block. TJ, you're in the car, you're at the Velo Viewer Open. You're going to have the same for us in the studio, getting us all those insights. But what are your thoughts on this dynamic and this sort of return to old template of having a more classic, like lots of chances for the sprinters, some puncher stages, little time trial, but this long stretch till we hit the Pyrenees?
Yeah, well, I think for the riders anyway, that opening 10 days will be broken up a little bit by the TT. I mean, even if you're going for the TT and you have to go full gas, you do get a little bit of reprieve because it's not like you're 4 or 5 hours in the saddle. So the riders will get a little bit of break, especially the ones not like the sprinters who just need to make time cut. So that's kind of a little mini rest day in itself. But there are a lot of punchy stages, and there's a lot of chances to chip away, get some psychological advantages, and I think some good stages for my boy Nielsen Paulus there. Some of those punchy kind of like Ardennes style. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting first 10 days. Now, hopefully we don't have some of those days where, it's just completely flat and nothing on and nobody even wants to go on the breakaway, because those days, they get a little bit long in the tooth for us there in the booth. But no,
we'll be in the sandbox then.
That's right.
We will be in the sandbox.
Many times.
Absolutely.
I'm picturing the first 10 days here, guys. I'm going to kind of slip into the host role here for a moment and happily give it right back to Brent. I'm enjoying this, just kind of being part of the conversation on the outside. But looking at that first week and a half without any mountains, we're going to be so excited every day to keep an eye on Tadej and Jonas. Do you guys anticipate getting through that first week and having anything but a 8 or 10 second gap between them? Like, what do you expect between the top two guys, knowing that the race for them begins with stage 10?
Well, knowing Tadej Pogacar, he races every inch of the road. So if there is one of those punchy finishes, he's not going to think like, I'm going to save it for the big mountains, or I'm going to save it for the third week. He's going to chip away at everything he can. So we will see some exciting racing in this first 10 days. And I think that Tadej is going to have the distinct advantage in these first 10 days. So I wouldn't be surprised with him. I think he'll come out with more than an 8-second advantage. It'll probably be closer to a minute, maybe even a little over a minute.
Wow.
But Jumbo-Visma, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to pick this one stage where we're going to find the steepest, longest climbs, and we're going to put our entire team on the front, and we're going to try to grind them down because we think that Jonas is better at the steeper, sustained climbs, and we're going to try to crack him. Now, whether or not Tadej can be cracked remains to be seen, but it did happen in the past.
Yeah, and that's an important note. I think, Paul, I think these first 10 days, Jonas would be extremely happy if he's coming through there on same time as Tadej. Would be great success, like close in the mix in that under 30 seconds. I think he'd also be really happy. I think looking at the build and also looking at how the climbing stages stack up, once we are out of these 10 days, then we're looking at the second half of the race. They got to go through the Pyrenees and the Alps. So it is really condensed and stacked up. There's a uphill time trial, the Col de la Loze up to above Courchevel. That the image we have and the soundbite that we have etched into our minds from that exact climb, that stage, is Tadej Pogacar saying, "I'm finished, I'm dead," when Jonas Vingegaard did pour on that onslaught a couple of years ago. So I think that does keep it really exciting and interesting that we have this sort of there's like this association, there's this storyline of waiting for the big climbs, not just any big climbs, but really the one that brought the end to Tadej Pogacar last time Jonas Vingegaard beat him. That keeps it really interesting.
Yeah, good recall, good context there. That's fun. TJ, back to you here. You guys have mentioned that it's going to be concerning, kind of nervy that first week to 10 days. And it's not going to be because of the mountains, and it's not going to be because the GC race has officially begun yet. What's concerning for Tadej and Jonas in that first week to 10 days?
Oof. I mean, you see how close all those riders ride together. I mean, everything is just heightened times like 2% in the Tour de France. People ride closer together. People are more nervous. There's more helicopters. You just feel like you're in this like apocalypse now with that like the helicopter sound in your ear. It's just the most stressful thing. Nobody wants to lose a single second. Everybody's on high alert. Like this is the big show. This is what all these other races throughout the year, they carry their own prestige and their own points and their own whatever. But careers are made at the Tour de France, and everybody knows that. And so people are just, sometimes you get a rookie in their first tour, and they're just so excited and so nervous that they just cause some crashes, if there's wind in northern France, there's always wide open sections where you have nothing but just grass fields, and the wind is just ripping along these courses. And if you turn right into the crosswind, the field breaks in 3 pieces. And that happens all the time in the Tour, especially in the first week when everyone's clock is at zero. When people's GC is more separated, people get a bit more relaxed. They're like, okay, I'm in this group here, you're in that group up there, I know my place. But at the start, everyone's like, even guys who know that they're not on GC, they're just like, well, I better not lose time because you never know what could happen. I could find myself in the yellow jersey in the right break for a day. And it just makes for just a hectic peloton.
And TJ, that was it. It's the whole peloton. We look at the Tour the past few years. For the sprinters, the yellow jersey was basically off the table. It's not every year that these group of fast men, these sprinters, even these punchers, they have a realistic chance at the yellow jersey. But this is one of those years that they're most likely a sprinter will have yellow for at least a day, maybe a good chunk of this first week. And that you're looking at this full peloton of not just the GC guys wanting to keep themselves safe, but these sprinters teams. We got to remember there's these sprinter teams that they're throwing their whole squad at behind their fast men, just like UAE and Visma Lease Bike are against their GC guys. Oh, that is rowdy. I cringe thinking about it because yeah, there
Mhm.
will be crashes, and unfortunately, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but we will lose a GC guy or two in that
Mm.
first week. It will not. They will not all be. It will not. They will not all be in the deck heading into that first uphill finish on stage 10. It will claim at least one just by sheer mathematics of there's only so much space on the road. There will be crashes, and yeah, so someone's going to be odd man out. I hope I'm wrong because I want them all to be there going into that mountain in the second and third week, but it's unlikely with this kind of start.
I think
Yeah.
what you're saying that
Yeah.
this whole time, I'm hearing a lot of words, Brent, but basically what you're saying is stay on your bike, Primos. Stay on it.
So much easier said than done, but yeah, please, Primos. Yeah, stay on your
We
bike. I
we
hope we can
want
get some magic for Primos.
yeah, we want to see you in the mountains. TJ, you're talking about how nervous people are at the beginning. How much better are you feeling this year? Not as a we're not talking about you as a team director. We're talking about you as a TV analyst. How much better are you feeling right now than you did a year ago before you'd ever done it?
Oh man, as soon as those bright lights came on, I was like,
I remember.
I remember Joel, he's probably listening to us right now. He was like, after the first couple of days, he's like, TJ, you look like Stevie Wonder out there. I know there's like screens on screens on screens, but you gotta like focus on like either one camera or Brent or Paul, but like stop looking everywhere. Like I feel like I know at least to where my eyes need to track. Like
Yeah.
if that's
Yes.
anything.
I thought about you. I thought about you during basketball season, TJ. I worked with a basketball analyst who, like you, like warmed up to it right away and got good in a hurry. But like right away, before we went on that very first time, he kind of gave me the look like, what, like, what is that? What is that? What is this button? I look where. Talk about what.
What do I do with my hands? What do I do with my hands, Paul?
Yeah, where do I look? Yes. So it's common, and I laugh now. I can only laugh now because you're very comfortable with it, and like I said, you got good at it. But it's always interesting to see people come in right away, brand new. And that was Brent 2 years ago. I mean, this is the first time we've had a veteran studio guys in a long time. I mean, Brent was new, and then TJ came in. You were new, so now
Yeah,
I mean,
it would have been nice to warm up with like a Tour of California or something, or like a little.
No, wasn't in the
maybe
cards.
throw me into the Dauphiné, but you just throw me into the
Nope.
Wolves. But I
Throw
feel
you right
like
into
we
the
got
deep
a
end.
hit squad this year.
Right away. So it's fun to look at you at both you guys and know that we've done this before together. It's a little different than it felt this year at this or last year at this time.
Looking forward to it. Are we coming to your
Yeah,
place for fish tacos again?
Whatever you guys want. You guys are the ones traveling. I'll be the host here at the house. I say I. My wife will be the lead host. I will be like the junior varsity host. But whatever you guys want, whatever you guys want to eat and drink at the house, a couple times at least during the tour.
Looking forward to it, Paul.
I'm getting psyched, guys. This has been a nice little opener to get me ramped up, get me excited to be back in the studio with you guys. I think before we sign off, let's just go right to stage one. I think next time I see you guys, we're going to be doing the pre-race show, and we're going to be talking about, who's going to come to the fore at stage one. It is a sprinter stage. We don't have Mark Cavendish this year, which like in terms of covering the race, that was a fairy tale last year. I loved it. I love that I was right about calling that he was going to make it happen. That felt good. But also just for the sportsman, the champion that Cav is, the whole storyline, the real fairy tale, like we'll miss it. But that said, we have some very talented, stacked field of sprinters. Jonathan Milan, Jasper Philipsen, Girmay was really the revelation of sprinting at last year's tour. And it's been a quiet year for him.
Quiet this year. Yeah, he has not done much this year, Brent.
He's been, I don't think he's won. I don't think he's won a race this year, which for a sprinter is, he's getting thirsty. Yeah, he's definitely, he's going to be needing it. But I think maybe if anything, that tour last year put him on a new level of having a calmness and a confidence of kind of that becoming his bread and butter of, I'm a Tour de France stage winner now. I'm a green jersey winner, and I'm confident that I can get back there. And I think he will too. I think Girmay is going to be good. But It's a pretty stacked list. It's hard to guess those first few days when we have our little inner team competition of picking stage winners, picking points. The first stages with the sprinters are hard because we're kind of like, you haven't seen them in this Tour de France peloton. It's a bit of a.
Are you going to join in that game this year,
dice.
Paul? Come on, are you going to join in that game?
I've never been invited, CJ. I'm just on the sideline.
Extending an invitation. I'm extending an invitation.
Do you have the power to do this?
Joel.
Are you the general manager who can like actually give me the green light? Are you just
the
like
jury.
a player personnel director who make a suggestion?
No, I'm putting in a petition. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, I'm here and ready. I'm ready for it. If you guys want to invite me in, somebody new to be in last place, make you guys feel better.
Yeah.
All right.
I was definitely bringing up the rear last year.
I think we can get you in, Paul. I think we're going to submit this. We're going to submit this approval to the producer. I actually just heard. Hold on. Yeah, guys, it's coming in. We've got approval. Paul Burmeister, he's in. He's in.
All right. Here we go.
New player in the game.
I just needed to host it 9 times. 10 times a charm.
Place your
You've
bets,
been watching
guys.
all these years, Paul. You've been watching, taking notes, laughing, watching all of our, recording all of our folly. All the tricks Bob role plays now. You know how he baits us into picking the wrong guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be good to have you in the mix.
Bob and Phil will have an opinion on me being in there. I may have to talk to them both separately, but now I'm lobbying for the first pick of stage 1. I can talk to Joel, whose name has come up a couple of times. He's the producer in charge of all this. I'll talk to Joel and see if I can sneak my way into first pick on the first day.
Don't get greedy, Paul.
All right, okay. I don't know there.
Flip of the coin. Okay.
Don't press your luck. All right.
We'll see.
I play for keeps. Okay, I play for keeps.
I know you guys do. It's serious business. Like everybody's laughing about it, but I know it means a lot to you guys. So
all the games within the game. We got races within the race at the tour. We got games within the game at the studio. I'm excited, guys. It's going to be a great month.
It's a long time. Sometimes you got to have something to get you through there. Stage 17. Look forward to that. To the race. See if you get the best pick. Carry
it is long.
18. You know how it is.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll have a new addition to our interstage competition in Paul Burmeister. We'll have fish tacos at Paul's house, TJ. We're going to have a great time in the studio. 21 days of racing coming up quick. We're 12 days to the start of this year's Tour de France, and we will catch everyone then at Beyond the Podium. See you next time.
For all your cycling content year-round, subscribe to NBC Sports YouTube page. We got it all.